All right, greetings. Welcome back to Blackbird News, where everything is connected. How y'all doing? We're live on YouTube, X, and on Rockfin. However, something is going on with Rockfin, and I don't quite have the whole story. I heard Ryan Christian just talking about this a few seconds ago, but I didn't really quite hear the whole thing. Anyways, just a quick story. When I made my stream yesterday, it didn't give me an option to make a free stream, and I thought, oh, what are they doing? Are they taking away free streams? But then later it became a free stream. After it was a premium, I didn't even touch anything, and so I was like, okay, there must be a glitch. I went today to go make the stream, and it didn't give me an option for a paid free stream, only a paid stream. And just very briefly in passing, I heard Ryan Christian saying something about Rockfin on a stream today, but I didn't quite catch the whole thing. He said he was pissed off at Rockfin about something, and I guess this is what he's pissed off about, is what I'm assuming. So I don't know I don't know if they're taking away free streams, period, or if they're forcing us to do a few premium streams a week. I don't know what the deal is. But anyways, today's stream is not free on Rockfin. I don't know. I don't know what this means generally, because I don't know the whole story. But as soon as I find out, I'll let y'all know. If they're just forcing us to do like a paid stream a week, I guess I could do that. But if they're taking away the free streams altogether, then I guess we won't be on Rockfin anymore. Because that's not what I do. I put this out for free for people. You do not have to pay to watch. So if that is the case, if there are no more free streams on Rockfin, I will be moving. I'll move my third slot over somewhere else. Probably not Rumble. Yeah, do you know, Denver, do you know what's going on with... I saw that AM Wake Up had a free stream today, but I don't know if there's a workaround. I'm not sure. I didn't have the time to really dig into it. Somehow I got a free stream yesterday. Anyways, just saying, if that's the case, there'll be another venue for us to stream to. I don't know if it's going to be BitChute or somewhere else. I don't know. Maybe, Malcolm. Maybe, I can't really figure out how to stream to Telegram from here. Maybe there's a way to do that. If it's, if there's a way to get from StreamYard to Telegram, maybe we'll do Telegram. I can't get from here to Substack. Otherwise, I would do Substack. So sorry about that. I don't know. I don't know where we're gonna go. Maybe BitChute. Probably not Odyssey. Probably like BitChute. So we'll see. I'll find out what I can find out, and I will let you guys know tomorrow what's happening. Just don't know if anybody has any more information on this. Anyways, we are free to watch on X. We are free to watch on YouTube. If you already have a premium subscription or are a subscriber on Rockfin, you can watch on Rockfin. And we will just go forward with that. All right. Okay. Well, let's get into it. Time is a slippery fish. And it's already slipping away from us today. Malcolm says, anywhere that needs to know my phone number is a path I cannot tread. Okay. Yeah, I would do Rumble, but I'm just not a fan of Rumble. I just really never have been. I mean, I did like their free studio. It was pretty cool. But as far as streaming to Rumble, I just have never noticed that people really cared, paid attention. Didn't get a lot of traction there. Didn't get a lot of viewers there. I just don't, I see them being kind of the same as anywhere else, as YouTube. I heard that BitChute was supportive of the Independent Media Alliance and that they're supporting free speech and free streaming. They support people who are trying to stream things for free and do news shows for free. And I appreciate that. So maybe BitChute might be the one. I don't know. That's how I feel, Denver. Yeah, Rumble is pretty much not very different from YouTube to me. I mean, I get less, I get zero traction on Rumble. Like zero traction. I might get a handful of viewers. I've tried to get viewers over there before. It seems like they play the same kind of games with how many people are watching. Because it goes, it'll go from 0 to 5 and back to 0. And I'm like, is nobody watching is nobody watching here? I can't tell. I just don't really seem to be able to get a lot of movement there. So, right. Well, let's start with this and I don't know what is going on. Here we go. From Go Green, final nail in the coffin of the Amazon rainforest that has stood for millions of years. Brazil Senate passed a sweeping bill erasing protections for Amazon forest and 3,000 protected areas and 18 million hectares of forest. Interesting because Lula is president still, as far as I remember. And so supposedly they have a liberal government, but they're kind of doing a Trump. And it seems like every country is interested in doing a Trump. Why? Because things are collapsing, things are falling apart, and it's grab everything you can as you exit, as you head for the exits. So look at this for a second. Brazil activists decry green rollbacks as Senate passes devastation bill. Legislation would dismantle regulations in farming, mining, and energy, increasing risk of widespread destruction. The upper house in Brazil, the Senate approved a bill that would dismantle licensing processes and increase the risk of widespread destruction. Passed the so-called devastation bill late on Wednesday, paving the way for projects ranging from mining and infrastructure to energy and farming to receive regulatory approval with little to no environmental oversight. The bill now returns to the lower house for final approval. No date has been set for a vote there, but it is expected to pass without resistance in the conservative chamber packed with agribusiness lobby supporters. The initiative proposes overhauling Brazil's rigorous environmental licensing procedure to make the system simpler and more efficient. My gosh, it sounds just like Doge. Sounds a lot like, and we'll talk a little bit about Doge today too. Yeah, that's true, Denver. I don't know, and I don't know whatever happened to that. Yeah, Lula seemed like a really, like a nice guy, kind of conservative. I mean, not conservative, liberal. Till he got reelected and said he was going to jail people for not getting jabs. And then I was like, nope, not you, sir. Sorry to anybody who is trying to watch on Rockfin. They're forcing me to do a paid stream today, and I don't really know what's going on. Well, anyway, so you guys get the idea. They're trying to roll back the regulations in order to curry favor with business and make them dollar bills, y'all. And as I'm reading this, it sounds a lot like what Trump is doing in the U.S. Pretty much one for one. And so there's really not a need to go much further in this. I think you all understand the picture. People are mad. People are upset. Shocked, aghast. Dismayed. Climate Dad, I'm old enough to remember when the IPCC was warning we could hit 1.5 C by 2040. Remember those lazy, hazy, crazy days? That was 3 years ago. Now there's a chance we'll see a yearly average above 2 C by 2030. Above 2 C by 2030. And from our leaders, tumbleweeds. We just talked about this yesterday. And if it doesn't get here by 2030, just expect it soon afterwards. Somewhere between 2030 and 2035, which is pretty darn soon. And 2C is absolute devastation for the planet. Huh. That's interesting. How China is quietly aiding Israel's settlement enterprise. Sure. Sure. In Canada, people are running for the hills or running away from the hills, whichever. Some massive wildfires breaking out. Again, it's summertime, so right on schedule. More than 17,000 people are being evacuated in Manitoba as wildfires caused the province's worst season start in years. The government declared a state of emergency, calling it the largest evacuation in living memory. Yeah. Most of Canada is currently facing high, very high, or extreme fire danger at present. Not president. Yellow high, brown very high, red extreme. And Austin was bounced around by a hailstorm today, or last evening, I guess. A wild hailstorm struck Austin, Texas. And this is true and correct. I have family living there, and they were not hit by this hailstorm, but definitely it was happening. I guess it's just all about the dollar bills, right, Denver? It doesn't really matter. Global capital or global cap or the blob of global cap. They're all in bed with each other. They're all interested in the same thing, which is control and profit. Yep. All right, let's move to what's happening in the Middle East. Again, more on the horrific quote unquote aid that's going on. Just in from suppressed news, Israel is luring starving Gazans with promises of food, then attacking them. In just 2 days, the IDF killed 11, injured 63 with live fire, and abducted several others. One wounded man had to be dragged 5 kilometers after being shot while trying to get aid from an American distribution point in Rafah. From this post, Israel is doing Hunger Games. Doing the actual Hunger Games, and the media is pretending like it's a humanitarian aid program. Lawrence Wilkerson was a top-ranking U.S. official. His experience with Israel: I never, ever believe Israeli figures. The Israelis are patent liars. Let me say that again. They are liars.
Let me preface these remarks with I never, ever believe Israeli figures. I've been in the government too long to know that the Israelis are patent liars. In their intelligence community, in their propaganda community, certainly, and in their leadership, they are inveterate liars. Let me say that again. They are liars. So you can't believe anything that comes out of Jerusalem. It's all propaganda. Let me preface these remarks with I never, ever believe Israeli figures. I've been in the government too long to know that the Israelis are.
In case you are not comprehending what he's saying, never, ever, ever. When do we listen to them? Never. Here's Morgan. Taking Israeli ambassador to the UK, Zippy Hodaveli, to task. And all she can muster up is some blood libel nonsense at the end here. But he, whether he's a good guy or not, probably not. He is speaking the truth here. He's coming off like he cares. And this is an interesting exchange.
A few days ago, you have 2 doctors in Gaza who have 10 children, and 9 of them are killed in a bombardment by your forces. That doesn't make people feel, oh, this is all going great. It makes people think that you're waging a systematic destruction, not just of property and of land, but also of children. And that's what's happening. The percentage of children that you're killing compared to the percentage of you're killing of Hamas terrorists, what is it? Do you know? Do you know how many children you've killed? Well, hang on. Answer me that one question. Do you know how many Hamas terrorists you've killed and how many children you've killed? Do you know those 2 numbers?
I know the numbers that came from the IDF. I know the numbers that came from a very, very established
Give me the 2 numbers. Give me the 2 numbers.
Wait a second. We killed 30,000. We killed 30,000 terrorists in phase 1 of the war. Since the war is back, I don't have the numbers. But let me.
Bullshit. 30,000 terrorists. So that's the official, I feel like the official count of casualties, period, is 30,000. That's what they're admitting to the casualties in this, whatever it is. So they're just calling all casualties terrorists. Absolutely not. Absolutely, the 30,000 terrorists, that's blatant lies.
Let me tell you one thing. We never target civilians. So this question is irrelevant.
How many children have you killed?
Pierce, Israel is not killing children. Israel is not killing children. Hamas is using them as human shields.
Lies. Everybody can see that you're killing children all day long, every single day, over and over, without pause, without cessation. And then she tries to go, we're not killing children, they're using them as human shields. Who's they? Where are they? Because I feel like you're just bombing hospitals and people living in tents in refugee camps and already bombed out areas of Gaza. I don't see any. I have, in one of those videos, have not once seen a Hamas fighter. I have not once seen somebody armed with missiles or guns or, fighting in the streets. All I see is Israeli tanks rolling over everybody. All I see is Israeli missiles bombing and blowing people to bits. I don't see, one return fire, somebody hiding behind a building with a, or somebody throwing a hand grenade. Not once. There's no war. Hamas doesn't exist. It's a figment. It's a made-up enemy.
Children every single day.
Pierce, this is a blood label you're putting on Israel. It's not true.
What? No, it's not actually. And what you're trying to do is be very weaselly with your words.
No, I'm not.
The truth is, you are killing a lot of children. You would argue you're doing.
Why it's caused?
Hang on,
because
let me finish.
Hamas is using them as human shields, and you know that.
Let me finish my question to you. You are killing a lot of children on a daily basis. That is indisputable. My interesting question.
That was it. Marco Rubio is telling you that, well, you have the right and the freedom to criticize the U.S. government if you are coming here on a visa, but you don't have the right to criticize Israel. Tell me how that works.
Under President Trump, the United States will stand with the Jewish people. We have implemented a vigorous new visa policy that will prevent foreign nationals from coming to the United States to foment hatred against our Jewish community. We are holding international organizations and nations accountable for rhetoric against Israel that resurfaces in the manifesto of monsters like Iran and Sarah's killer. But we do see an eventual light at the end of this long tunnel of suffering. One can imagine a Middle East in which the Abraham Accords eventually reign. So thank you for the opportunity to address you.
Okie dokie.
Under President Trump, the United States
is one of. I feel like one of Marco's eyes is going to start going a little wonky soon. The lizard scales are going to be revealed in the coming days. Here's some interesting words from Whitney Webb on how Donald Trump is probably compromised. During his first term, there was a lot of, there are a lot of theories about him being compromised by Russian oligarchs, and somebody loaned him money to bail him out, and it looks like somebody did bail him money and loaned him out. Loaned him money and bailed him out. Strike that, reverse that. But it wasn't Russian oligarchs, it was someone else. And could be, most likely is the reason that he's now doing the bidding of a certain group of people. Let's listen.
Trump is kind of beholden to certain economic interests going back to his time before he was president. So for example, since we were talking about the mob earlier, he took over one of the most notorious mob and CIA-linked companies ever in the 1980s, Resorts International, formerly the Mary Carter Paint Company, after its longtime head, James Crosby, died. In that same era, he buys Adnan Khashoggi's yacht. He's partying with Epstein. He's on Robert Maxwell's yacht. He's very in this particular sphere. His mentor is Roy Cohn, a longtime mob lawyer, and as I note in my book, alleged sex blackmailer with really extensive organized crime connections. And so, around the time that he was hanging out on Robert Maxwell's yacht, Robert Maxwell was acting, and this is admitted by the New York Times at the time, was acting as a frontman for Rothschild Inc., which was basically this Wall Street entity that was created by the Rothschild family to strengthen their foothold in Wall Street. And they focused mainly on mergers and acquisitions. And so, Maxwell died in 1991. And then around that same time, those same banking interests bailed out Trump, and Wilbur Ross was working for N.M. Rothschild at the time and helped orchestrate that bailout of Trump. And then Trump was largely seen as having honored that by making Wilbur Ross Commerce Secretary in his first term. But basically, Trump as a business figure wouldn't be around if it wasn't for that assistance at that point in time. And obviously that particular banking dynasty has a long and storied history with the state of Israel.
So there you go. He's owned by the same people that own all the rest of the politicians in one way or the other. Let's look at, speaking of AIPAC, here's a really good, informative and entertaining look at how AIPAC funds AIPAC and others fund the politicians. Here we go.
Hey.
Hi, what can I do for you?
My friends and I wanted to donate some money to our boy over there.
Yeah, for sure. And how much money?
Unlimited.
Unlimited.
Yeah.
Unlimited money.
Yeah, just to show our support.
Okay. Obviously, you're gonna need one of these.
Yeah, no, totally.
So you know the rules. You can only spend this on independent things like ads supporting him.
For sure. Yeah.
You can't ask him for anything in return.
Oh, of course, no, we would never talk. We don't talk.
And you have to show me the names of all your donors.
Like everyone who donated to the bucket?
Yeah, just so we know like who's trying to influence him and what their agenda might be. You know, you could be from a foreign country.
Oh, yeah, no, that would be insane.
So can I see your donors?
Definitely, yes. He's right over here.
That's your donor? Mm-hmm. That's a bag.
It's a bag, yeah. It's a basically money goes into the bag, and then it goes from the bag to the bucket. So my donor is the bag.
Okay, but who's putting money in the bag?
I don't have to tell you that legally. There's actually there's a special loophole for bags like this. So
Who was that?
who was that? I don't know who that was.
All right, this is ridiculous. I have to get rid of this loophole and bring transparency back to our elections.
So you're not gonna do anything?
Oh yeah, nothing. I mean, who do you think gave me this job?
Okay, I see you. I see. Okay. Okay.
Oh yeah. that's how it works. Okay. It looks like Elon Musk is stepping down from Doge or stepping away. And there's all kinds of different ideas on it. Some people say that his appointment was up, it had run out of time. I think the optics are looking pretty bad for him right now, and so it's good timing, coincidentally, I think. And there's a couple people talking about in the Department of things that obviously never happened. So this is prior. This is Elon saying that they were going to audit the Pentagon in November of 2024. And these are things that never happened, right? The place that really needed the auditing got a raise. Kind of coincidentally, the amount of money that supposedly was saved or cut from the USAID and other, I guess, non-essential contracts or things that were, overlapping or redundant or not going to the right places. And I don't know. It's hard to see. There wasn't a lot of transparency involved in Doge. So we really don't know. They were just like screenshots. Again, screenshots are not proof, as interesting as those might be. And the amount of money supposedly that was cut and or saved, just floated on over to the Pentagon. And yes, creative experiments. SpaceX got a raise. The arms industry got a raise. Let's see. So that happened. I think, hold on. Something in here. I have a 7Cs post, but I don't know if it's one. Let's see. Hold on one second. Oh, I lost it. I'm not going to be able to find it. Oh, here. I think this is it. They're not shutting it down. He's talking about he's responding to Vivek Ramaswamy. Bureaucracy grows like a weed. The solution isn't to reform it. The right answer is to shut it down. And supposedly that's what Doge is supposed to be doing. 7C says they're not shutting it down. They're automating it, removing anyone who could have potential for moral hangups, leaks, whistleblowing, hesitation, or remorse for what is about to come. Quoting, he insisted that if the technicians and workers were so inclined, they could, by withholding their indispensable knowledge and skills, soon paralyze the whole of American government and industry and establish a Soviet of technicians. See Doge Palantir. So I don't know if Elon Musk was there just long enough to install some of the AI or oversee some of the installation of the AI systems. It's hard to know really what's going on. But apparently he's stepping away from Doge, but remaining in an advisory role. And if you believe that, so in more, again, this could be a good thing if it's a thing that's happening at all. Supposedly, the Trump administration cut Moderna's bird flu vaccine contract. Supposedly. Breaking, RFK just canceled Moderna's $700 million bird flu vaccine contract. No more blank checks for Big Pharma to run experiments on the American people. Okay. There's got to be a catch here somewhere. I mean, I would applaud this. I'd applaud this. I would be like, this is a great move. This is, hey, this is a positive. Got to be a catch here, but we'll listen to it.
Administration has canceled a contract with Moderna for the development of a bird flu vaccine for humans. Our Angelica Peebles joins us now with more, and you could conjecture a lot of things about this between RFK Jr. and vaccines and mRNA. What's behind all this, Angela?
Yeah, good morning, Joe. So this is just the latest in a string of events that we've seen related to COVID vaccines over the last week. And what's happening here is that the Trump administration is canceling a more than $700 million contract with Moderna to develop a bird flu vaccine and other pre-pandemic influenza viruses. And so what's really notable about this is that obviously we've seen this, we've seen bird flu tearing through birds and also dairy cows and the risk to humans. And so what we saw in the Biden administration is that they really ramped up this work and they were helping to fund, they were going to fund a phase 3 trial to see if we could use mRNA for a bird flu vaccine if it indeed spills over to humans. And now the cancellation of this vaccine is quite a surprise, maybe not a surprise now because we had been hearing rumblings about this for the past few months. But, we just saw this this contract ramp up right before the last administration left. And now you have the Trump administration saying that they felt like after a rigorous review, we concluded that the continued investment in Moderna's H5N1 mRNA vaccine was not scientifically or ethically justifiable. And they're saying that it's not just about efficacy, it's about safety. And so it's interesting to hear them really casting doubt on just the safety and the efficacy of mRNA vaccines as a whole.
Oh my God, what are they doing? How could they? I'm guessing that this contract is still alive and probably going to another company. or going to be reconfigured in some way. I'm guessing this isn't the whole story, and we'll probably hear more about this in the next couple of days. Guys, if you like the show, if you want to see the show continue to come to you for free 99 Monday through Friday, consider supporting the show financially. There's a bunch of links in the description box of whatever channel you're watching on. There's a link tree on X there for you. All the regulars are there: PayPal, Cash App, Venmo, Zelle, Buy Me a Coffee, Ko-Fi, Patreon, Substack, etc. Just a quick announcement as far as Rockfin goes. I'm not really sure what's happening. They took away the free streaming option, and I don't know if that is a I don't know if that's a temporary thing. I don't know what's going on with that, but if it continues to be a permanent thing, we probably won't be streaming on Rockfin anymore. But just, stay tuned for that. Right now, the stream that's up is a premium stream for today. I can't really change it, so I don't know what's going on. I'll find out more about it. We talked a little bit about the removing of the COVID vaccine for healthy children by the HHS. 7Cs again, the decision by RFK to change the vaccine schedule to only the most vulnerable people, right? They left it on schedule for at-risk people, if you believe that, or if you can believe that, is a pattern people should get used to given what's coming through Congress. AI, brain chips, vaccines, full swing. Artificial intelligence is targeting Medicare recipients. To direct the Secretary of Health and Human Services to issue guidance on payment under the Medicare program for certain items involving artificial intelligence. This is, I believe, in the new bill. Much like the COVID mRNA vaccine, they are attempting to push artificial intelligence-driven medical devices on the sick and elderly, and they're going to make you pay for it. David Schweikert from Arizona is responsible for introducing this bill. It's a separate bill, I guess. It's not only going to be funded by taxpayer dollars, but they're going to be targeting the elderly and the sick, the ones that qualify for Medicare. But what's going to happen is they're going to begin to emotionally manipulate people. They're going to proposition how these certain AI devices are going to change the life of someone you love and restore senses or relieve pain or prolong life. And essentially, what they're trying to do is get you and the rest of us taxpayers to subsidize turning our parents and grandparents into data variables.
For certain items involving artificial intelligence. So essentially what we're seeing here is they plan on releasing biotechnical medical devices for the sick and the elderly that will be approved under Medicare, so that when we do start forcing these AI biotech technocratic prison accessories onto these sick and dying people, it's not only going to be funded by taxpayer dollars, but they're going to be targeting the elderly and the sick, the ones that qualify for Medicare. And what's going to happen is they're going to begin to emotionally manipulate people. They're going to proposition how these certain AI devices are going to change the life of someone that you love and restore senses or relieve pain or prolong life. And essentially what they are trying to do is get you and the rest of us taxpayers to subsidize turning our parents and grandparents into data variables, because these are going to be the first people that they're going to be testing these technologies on. Much like with the mRNA vaccines, there's no telling what's going to happen. And the fact that they are choosing some of the most vulnerable groups in the country to be the test bed for these things is extremely concerning.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, everything is a ruse at this point. And if they're trying to give you something good, there's something questionable afoot attached to it, I'm sure. All right. Just got a couple more things to show you. This is a good piece from James Lee about LA fire relief and one particular concert that, well, seemed like all this money entered the usual money laundering machine, and probably very few, if any, of these dollars made it to the people that needed it. But who knows? We'll watch this. It's a good bit of journalism from James Lee. All right, let's watch this.
This benefit concert might be one of the biggest scams in disaster fundraising history. And as usual, I'm bringing the receipts. First off, according to reports, the Fire Aid benefit concerts raised over $100 million, supposedly for LA fire victims. But since then, residents have been asking, where did all the money go?
$100 million raised for residents, community things, and funds that are supposed to help the Palisades, and there's no accounting or where the money went. They're not telling anyone.
Let's figure this out. So, according to the Fire Aid website, it says that all direct donations will be distributed under the advisement of the Annenberg Foundation. According to the IRS 990 form, the Annenberg Foundation is a 501c3 based in Conshohocken, Pennsylvania, in this lovely office building. One massive red flag right away is that only 30% of their annual expenses goes for actual charity programs. The rest goes to administrative costs like executive compensation. And if you look at the numbers, they treat you pretty good over there, starting with top dog Cynthia Kennard, who's making $750,000 plus another 6 figures in bonuses, which is basically almost 7 figures just for one person there. Here is Cynthia, aka Cinny, hanging out with Gavin Newsom, discussing or strategizing about things like how to solve homelessness, among other things. This is one of those if you know situations. Anyway, just to give you a point of comparison with another nonprofit, Doctors Without Borders, they spend almost 90% of their money on actual programs versus less than 1% on administrative costs. Local journalists have also been asking, where's the money? They found, quote, the Fire Aid website names only 3 Palisades organizations that receive grants. Among almost 120 organizations listed as receiving grants, none of whom are specific to Pacific Palisades, and those 3 are Kehelet Israel, Chabad of Pacific Palisades, and Palisades Charter High School. Others have tried to directly reach out to the Annenberg Foundation. They were kind of given the runaround, various extension numbers, somebody saying they would call them back, no one called back. Also referring them to some mysterious man named Philip, no last name. He was never found. This is just crazy. So essentially what they're doing is taking the $100 million, then paying themselves roughly 70% of it, and then the rest of the money they're dishing out to various other nonprofits with their own administrative expenses, and that's how $100 million just ends up disappearing, allegedly.
Yep. This has long been a pet peeve of mine. You guys know this. For the last year or maybe more, I've been railing against any of these budgets or, proposed, whatever it might be, construction or production or investment budgets of almost everything is a money laundering scheme or can be turned into one very easily. I'm not saying that some people out there aren't doing, real business, but I don't know. When you see some things, just set off all the alarm bells, But good work on that from James Lee. And lastly, we're going to watch how California is kind of surreptitiously bilking people for money with a new law that's supposed to keep people from parking too close to a crosswalk, which I have never heard of until today. But apparently this is already in effect. And I don't know if it's California wide. They're talking about San Diego. I think it might be California wide. So if anybody's in California and you're driving your car and you're going to park somewhere, just be wary that they are ticketing people without really giving them, well, due process, as in a warning, or like telling, explaining to people what the law is, or clearly marking where they're supposed to park or where you can't park, and just letting people park unawares of the law and then ticketing them, which really kind of sucks. Let's listen to this for a moment.
For the San Diego Police Parking Enforcement Team, every foot counts.
This car is 12 feet from the crosswalk.
These officers have been tasked with enforcing the state's new daylighting law.
It's all about the pedestrian safety.
The law makes it illegal to park within 20 feet facing a crosswalk.
As you approach a crosswalk, just think of any little, a kid walking to school. You're not going to be able to see them when a car is parked close to the crosswalk. So this vehicle would be in violation of the new daylighting law because of the crosswalk that's at the intersection.
But the car that's across the street would not be in violation.
Correct, because it is not on the approach side of the crosswalk. It's going away from the crosswalk. So that would not be in violation. However, this one would be.
In January, the statewide law went into effect. For the first 2 months, Aaron Longin and the parking enforcement team,
there's a new law, there's a lot of cars in violation.
We're educating the public.
We handed out 1,500 warnings for 2 months. There was a little blue slip that we'd leave on cars that we saw in violation.
Ticketing and enforcement began on March 1st, but the education hasn't stopped.
Yeah, it's like a car and a half.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, you're welcome. We've written over 4,200 tickets, which sounds like a high number, but it's less than 10% of the tickets that we're writing as an agency, and we're writing them both proactively and reactively. So people do use the Get It Done app to report violations in their neighborhood. So we respond to those as well as just in the community seeing what we see.
Longin says the most issues are in areas where parking is already hard to come by.
I would say Normal Heights, North Park, Hillcrest, University Heights, Ocean Beach, Pacific Beach, La Jolla.
And this law applies to any crosswalk, even if the street is not marked and even if the curb is not painted red.
Just remember that some red zones were painted prior to this law, so some of them might only be 5 feet, but we have to give that 20-foot clearance.
And if you do get caught in violation of this daylighting law, each of these tickets is going to cost you about $117. Reporting live from Kearney Mesa, Zara Barker, KUSI News.
It's fairly steep. Yeah. Well, yeah, Steph, see, I actually get the idea that it might be, it actually might hold some water as far as being safer to not, I get it. I get the concept and why it might be in, but to not really tell people, like 20 feet is far. 20 feet is, what she said at the end there was, about a car and a half length. So if you want to be safe, just assume 2 car lengths behind the crosswalk. So that's a lot of car length. That's 20 feet is a lot of feet. So if it's not really clearly marked, it's kind of hard. It's kind of like that with fire hydrants here, where you're just supposed to know what 6 feet is. So they don't really mark, the area. Sometimes they have a red curb in front of a fire hydrant, but a lot of times they don't mark. You're not supposed to park within 6 feet of a fire hydrant. So you're just supposed to know what 6 feet is. People generally kind of get an idea of what it is. Sometimes, I see people go 3 or 4 feet away from a fire hydrant and they can get away with that. But that's the thing, is it's 20 feet from the crosswalk. They don't have anything marked. They probably don't even have any signs posted like, hey, don't park, 20 feet from the crosswalk at these times. So it's a gotcha, right? And I'm sure they're writing a bunch of tickets until people start figuring this out. You know, they're gonna make people learn through their wallets, which really kind of sucks. But you know, California is struggling financially, so they gotta, you know, generate that money in it. Yes, the lean gotta generate that cash flow. You know, on the low, I guess. Anyways, just beware. Be advised. All right, guys. Thanks so much for watching. Thanks for tuning in. I appreciate you. That is the end of the show. I don't know if I have anybody to thank today. Sorry, Rockfinners or people that usually watch on Rockfin. I apologize. Today I could not stream for free on Rockfin. I mean, 117 is a lot of money. I feel like most tickets are, you know, parking tickets are like between 50 and 100. So they said in San Diego they're going to up it even more. So that sucks. That's a bunch of nonsense. Anyways, guys. Thanks a lot. I'll see you tomorrow at the regular time of 12 p.m. Pacific. And I don't know. I'll try and find out more about the Rockfin thing. And I will keep you posted. All right. Thank you. Until next time. Peace.